We're joined by Ben Haumiller, producer for NCAA Football 12, which will be in stores on July 12th for the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. This is the fourth year in a row Ben has been on the program. We always appreciate his time. Ben, how have you been?
I've been great, man. Thanks for having me on. It's time to talk about college football again, so it can't be all bad, right?
Exactly. Well, Ben, I got tons to talk about with you, so we'll get right into it. Atmosphere, a big part of college football, and you guys added some things with NCAA Football 11 last year. But you guys seem to have, looking at the videos, you guys have really kicked it up a notch with the presentation and the atmosphere.
The buzzword around here has been quadrupeds throughout the whole year, so that's any animal with four legs. And so that's been a lot of fun. We've never had them in the game before, so you're seeing things like UGA and and Chief Osceola and Renegade for Florida State, and Boomer Sooner at Oklahoma, and even in the not just animals, but also not just four-legged birds like you got War Eagle for Auburn, and then also into vehicles like the Ramblin' Wreck for Georgia Tech, and you've got
the drum.
Got the big drums in there. You got giant American flags across the field for the BCS title game, and all that sort of stuff that are really great presentation elements that really tie you in and kind of get you jacked up and ready for the game, because those are the symbolic moments, for each school. You go to an SC game and you see Tommy Trojan riding out on Traveler. That gets you hyped up and ready for the game, and we want to have those elements in our game as well.
Ben, can you talk a little bit about the new collision tackling system you guys have implemented for NCAA 12?
Sure. So with gameplay, the big thing is all about the collision, that moment of impact. And at that time, that's where a lot of different things happen, from blocking to tackling to also catching the football. And so we wanted to make sure that we were getting those exact moments. You had all the control in the world that you needed at those times. And it's the end of suction gameplay. In the past, you would be in situations where you'd be the running back and you'd be running, on a sweep, for example, and the defender would come up and just suction into you because it was in a range to where a tackle could start based on one of our kind of pre-canned tackle animations.
Right.
And you would get suctioned into it, and the play would end because you were close enough to the guy and it could start a tackle right there, so it did. Now the tackle won't happen until that moment of impact. And so as both a ball carrier and as a defender, when you're controlling the defender, you're in control up to that moment, and you can actually kind of have much more control and dictate exactly when the tackle is going to happen. And so with that, we've added a tackle button for the first time ever. So you've always had the ability to hit stick somebody and just try and lay them out, just run into them and hope for the best, or just dive blindly and hope for the best. Right. But now you've got an actual button you can press that says, okay, I want to start a wrap tackle right now. And what that will do is the defender will try to find a tackle to start. If he can't, he'll lunge towards the ball carrier and try and make a kind of a last-ditch effort, kind of shoestring tackle style of animation. But you're in, the key is you're in control the entire time, and you're never suctioned out of your control into an animation.
Hey, can you talk a little bit, Ben, about the improved zone defenses? Now, you guys have released a trailer about it, and you had Kirk Herbstreit going through, and according to Mr. Herbstreit, it's going to be a lot harder to just throw the ball to the running back out of the backfield. Now, that was music to my ears because, my cousin right now, he's serving in the Marines. He's deployed right now. God bless him. But whenever he played with West Virginia and he threw that ball to Noel Devine out of the backfield, 90% of the time I wanted to come through the Xbox and, strangle his neck. So is it going to be it's going to be a little harder to do that now, according to Kirk Herbstreit on the video? Is that true?
I've heard both sides of it. Both, it's a blessing and they're very happy for it. But I've also heard, how could you do that to me? Now I have to relearn how to play this game. Because we got into a situation where, guys have learned, they're almost like crutches. It's 3rd and 6. I need a first down. This is my go-to play.
Exactly. Now
and so we wanted to, exactly. We really wanted to make that so it's more of that chess match you see in real football. And so with that, we needed to really upgrade how our zone coverage is played. And so with that, it's really about, the positioning of players. That's one of the key elements, making sure that players are in position to be able to not only break up plays, but be in position to make the play. You'd see on routes, maybe a post with a slot receiver, you would see the defender playing too far behind him, so you could always just get he'd be tackled immediately, but you could always just pick up yards after yards after yards on every play. And we wanted to have the defender stand in front of him to be able to block, to break up that play or maybe get an interception. So it's a lot about positioning. It's about having defenders know where the other defenders are so they know where their health is on each play. So you'll actually see, as a receiver is running his route and he's moving from one zone to another, you can see a defender going back with him until he's reached as far as he can go in his zone and actually hand the receiver off to the defender behind him. So you can really see these zones being played. And so it's a really great addition to make it look and feel better as far as, the strategy of it, but also just knowing that, you don't have those crutches anymore. You might actually have to try and legitimately earn that first down. So that's been a big upgrade as far as the gameplay goes.
You'll take control of the linebacker. I'll even do a thing where I'll put the defensive end in the zone because I know that play's coming. But sometimes when those running backs are just too fast, when their speed's over 95, sometimes it doesn't matter. They'll get the couple of yards they need for the first down. Sometimes it's tough to stop. So that's good to hear. I'm happy to hear that. And for those who have to relearn the game or pick different plays, they can take advantage of the new custom playbooks you guys have. How's that for a segue?
Oh, wonderful. Like you're writing this for me. It's great. But yeah, that's a great new addition as well. And so that's something that can be used in basically all of our game modes. You use it online against someone else. You can go ahead and start your dynasty and use that as your coach's playbook through dynasty. All sorts of things. You can use that in a play now game. Basically everywhere except for Road to Glory, because we kind of figured as the player in Road to Glory, it'd be kind of strange to walk on campus and tell your coach the first day, all right, here's my playbook. Call these for me. So with this, you have the ability to set up to 40 formations and up to 375 different plays, and you can create up to 15 different offensive and also 15 defensive playbooks. Okay. So you can really customize exactly what you want and utilize just what you want. And so the real cool part with college football is there's so many unique formations and so many different styles that you can have these playbooks that are just, absolutely crazy as far as the philosophies in there. You can have a little bit of flex bone and then add a little bit of the run and shoot and have some I form and just go really crazy with whatever you really want to have as your offense or your defense. And you can reorder how they look on the play call screen so that you have everything lined out just the way you like to. So you're not hunting for plays. They're laid out exactly how you want. So you might bunch all of your running plays up at the top and then move into your passing plays, your intermediates, and your long passes and your play actions and everything all organized just the way you want to. And so it's a great addition for the game.
And, of course, there's been lots of changes made in college football, schools moving to new conferences, etc. Of course, you guys have reflected the changes on the game, but in addition to that, you've given users the option of fully customizing the conferences.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things coming into this year we really wanted to set right in the game was that ability to really customize conferences based on what we were seeing happen in the real world. We had in the past the ability to move a team from one conference to the other, but it was just a one-to-one swap. So if you're a Big Ten fan and you wanted to see what it was like, to have Nebraska join the Big Ten, you had to figure which school would be going to the Big 12 from the Big Ten. So, maybe a swap of Nebraska for like Indiana or something like that. And that wasn't great. That wasn't college football. That wasn't setting things up in the real sense. So we now have it set so that you can create conferences that are up to 16 schools, as few as 4 schools, and you can move as many as 32 schools in independent. So you can really shape things around and change things. So just because that Pac-16 Super Conference didn't happen doesn't mean you can't see what it would have been like if it happened in your game. So you can set up 4 16-team Super Conferences if you want to. Send, like I said, 32 schools into independent and just see what a crazy kind of wild, wild west of college football would look like. Whatever you want to do is there. And so you can update these in future years of the dynasty as well. So you can make changes based on what happens in the real world and always stay current.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting to know. Now, when you make these changes, say you make that, if you wanted to make that 16-team Super Conference in the Pac-16, do you have to adjust all the other conferences before you start, or can you just start up the dynasty and it will generate the schedules with what's in the leagues, or do you have to have a certain amount of teams in the leagues you adjusted as well, even though you're not playing in them?
Everything starts by default with what it would be in the real world, just what this season would look like. And then you can go in and make your changes. And it will update, it'll update schedules and schedule types. And that's actually the next level of depth for this feature is you can go in and edit what types of schedules you want for each conference. And you can make adjustments to all the rules from, do you want to have teams playing just on Saturdays, or do you want to have Thursday games available? Do you want to edit the location of the championship game? So once you can grow a conference to 12 schools or more, or an existing 12 or more school conference, you can change the location to any of our stadiums in the game. So you can send the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 champion, to the Kibbe Dome in Idaho for their championship game if you want to.
I'm sorry, Ben. Can you change the dates of the bowl games, like when they're scheduled too?
So you can't change the dates of the bowl games, but you can edit BCS bowl tie-ins though.
Oh,
so that's another part as well. So you can say, okay, I've made the MAC a 16-team super conference of all the best schools. I'm going to send their champion to the Sugar Bowl. or I'm going to edit the Rose Bowl to be the Sun Belt and the WAC because that's what I feel like doing. You can make all of those changes, and I think that the biggest part to this too is, and this will be a key for you, I believe, as a Big Ten guy, you can change the names of the divisions as well, so you're not stuck with leaders and legends if you don't want to. So I know as an Illinois guy, you might not be a huge fan of it.
Hey, what are you trying to say? You dissing the leaders and legends here? What do we go there for?
I'm just saying that, I mean, if you'd like to, if you're more of a Great Plains, Great Lakes guy, you can go ahead and set that up that way or do it geographically, whatever you'd like. It's all up to you.
I love the leaders, and I got it tattooed on each bicep. Leaders on one, legends on the other.
Yeah, I don't think you'll regret that at all. Yeah, of course.
All right, Ben. We got move on. I lost my train of thought here. Okay, coaches. You can start off your career now as an assistant, offensive, defensive coordinator. Now, can you go into that a little bit? So if I start my dynasty with Illinois and I want to start off as an offensive coordinator, I'm controlling everything on offense, and then is defense simmed like it is like on Road to Glory, or if you just sim it in a regular game?
Yeah, so we wanted to add the element of true coaches to Dynasty mode this year. And so with that, you have the ability to create yourself, and there's also a full slate of coaches for every other school. So every school has a head coach and an offensive and a defensive coordinator. And you can begin your career, if you'd like to, as one of those coordinators, or you can start out straight up as a head coach if you still want to. Okay. But it's all about your experience. And so as a coordinator, you're only controlling that side of the ball. And, yeah, like you said, it will super sim the other side of the field for you. So if you're an offensive coordinator, you're calling the offensive plays, you're running the offensive plays. When it's time for the defense to hit the field, it just simulates until you're back on the field again. So you're just playing your side. And it's really about your career as a coach and the jobs that you take along the way. And so you have contracts at each stop, and those are all based on kind of the prestige of the school, and also, if you're a coordinator, it's all stat-based on the offense, do things like average 35 points a game and have a running back rush for 1,000 yards and all those sort of things. And as you become a head coach, it's more about the program. So it's have a top 10 recruiting class and finish in the top 5 of your conference and things like that. And so you're just kind of going through that career. And so you're hopping from job to job. And as you progress through from, maybe starting out as a offensive coordinator at San Jose State to becoming the head coach of Illinois, and that path you take to get there. So that's really what the mode's all about.
That's another cool thing that I read about on your blog, actually, is that you can edit. You've always had the ability to edit the head coaches in previous years, but now you can edit the head coaches and the assistant coaches, and now you can make it part of the roster file so people can download those. And I know someone out there will do that, and I'll be more than happy to download that file. I think that's a pretty cool feature, too.
Oh, of course, yeah, because you can edit everything about the coaches. So you can edit their alma mater, their offensive and defensive playing style, name, appearance, all that stuff. Because a lot of that comes into play when it's time to take, for a school to figure out who their next coach is going to be. So alma mater, for example, in the real world, we can use Brady Hoke at Michigan for an example there. Brady Hoke might not have been the biggest name coming into the off season as far as coaches go, but he was a Michigan man. That's who they wanted. And so you can see the same sort of philosophy in our game. Two pretty relatable coaches, they're going to give the nod to the alum over the non-alum. Offensive and defensive style as well. Let's say Paul Johnson were to leave Georgia Tech and go to Alabama. Well, Alabama would start running the option, and now Georgia Tech's forced with the decision, do we stick with the option? Do we go with a completely different offensive style based on who we bring in? So you see that sort of same thing in our game, whereas if that same scenario played out in our game, you would see the CPU controlled Georgia Tech trying to figure out where they're going next as far as an offensive style.
Ben, I want to get a little bit into online dynasty now, and I wanted to ask you this when we were talking about the conferences, to go back to that for a little bit. Can you do the full conference customization for online dynasty as well? Do you want to get can you get all of you and 11 of your other buddies and just make a mega conference on online dynasty?
Yeah, of course. That's one of our big goals every year, is to make sure that anything we add new to offline dynasty also works in online dynasty. So your custom playbooks, your custom conferences, your coaches, and the coaching carousel, all of that is available in online dynasty. And with that, too, to have everyone start out on a level playing field, in online dynasty, the commissioner can dictate how everyone starts out. So the commissioner can say, okay, everyone starts out as a 1-star coordinator or a 2-star head coach. And those are the only jobs available. And from there, it's up to everyone's ability at the game and how well they play to how fast they can progress up to those top jobs.